Hello, everybody, and welcome back. For today's math lesson, I want to look at this concept that was thinking about the other day as we've been working our way through this fraction multiplication unit. And that has to do with the fact that multiplication is commutative. All right, so if you remember what the commutative property is, that simply states that you can change the order of the factors in a multiplication problem, and the product will stay the same. So let's go over a real simple example with whole numbers, and then we'll look at how this could help you with fraction multiplication. So again, multiplication is commutative. It has the commutative property. All right, so real quick demonstration of this. We know that 2 times 4, okay, could be looked at as 2 sets of 4, which would be 8, or 4 times 2, which could be 4 sets of 2, and our product is still 8. So this is a really simple demonstration of the commutative property. You've probably seen this before. So you can change the order of the factors in a multiplication problem, and you still get the same product. All right? So that is most likely not new information for you. Review, but I want to look at how that could be helpful when you're multiplying fractions. And here is one example of that. We're going to take this problem here. Yeah, we'll do 4/6 times 1/2. All right, so this could be thought of as 4/6 of 1/2, but which may be difficult to conceptualize, to think about. But remember, you can always switch the factors around to 1/2 times 4/6, or 1/2 of 4/6. All right, and this part right here, this is the key. This may be easier to visualize than 4/6 of 1/2. It may be easier to think of it as 1/2 of 4/6. The answer is going to be the same either way. We just proved that with our 2 times 4 and 4 times 2. So the same property applies to multiplying fractions. You can change the order. All right. So let's look at how we could solve 1/2 of 4/6. How that could be done visually. So 1/2 of 4/6. So I really like drawing models when I'm multiplying fractions. It's really helpful for me. Hopefully it's helping you as well. So I'm going to go with a rectangle model here. And I'm going to split it first up into thirds. I'm going to make this a little bit more accurate. So 3 equal parts. But I know that I need 6 equal parts, so I'm going to draw a horizontal line through the middle of this rectangle. So I've split my model into 6 equal parts, and I am going to fill in 4 of them because I'm finding 1/2 of 4/6. So I need to start with 4/6. So here is my representation of 4/6. I've got rectangle split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. I've shaded in 4 of them. Now I'm trying to find 1/2 of this quantity here, this fraction here. So one way I could do that is to think, all right, you could use your number sense and think, all right, well, what's half of this amount that's shaded? I've got 4 of them shaded, so half of that would be 2 of them, right? So this represents 1/2 of 4/6. And then in order to write my answer, I need to look back at the rectangle as a whole and think, all right, well, I've got 2 out of the 6 um, little blocks shaded, so my answer must be 2, 6. All right. And you always want to get in the habit, if your answer is a fraction, is to make sure it's written in simplest form. We've done a little bit of that this year. So 2, 6, and the way you simplify is you look at a common factor in the numerator and the denominator, and the common factor here is 2. So I'm going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2, and I end up with 2 divided by 2, which is 1, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 1/2 of 4/6 in simplest form is 1/3. So therefore, 4/6 of 1/2 must also be 1/3. All right. So that's just one example of how switching the order of the fractions may be helpful for you. I want to go over another example, and here we go. All right. Need a new whiteboard. So we're going to make this one a little bit more complicated. And we're going to connect this back to the juice problem that we had earlier in the week. So you had to find 3/4 of 1/2 because you had half of the bottle of juice was still in the bottle, and you drank 3/4 of it, 3/4 of that half. So you're trying to figure out what fraction of a liter that was, 3/4 of 1/2. Now, understanding that you can apply the commutative property, it may be easier to think of this as 1/2 of 3/4. All right. Remember, you can switch the order, and that's the whole point of this lesson. So I'm going to draw a model here. And I'm going to split this again. So I'm going to start with 3/4. So I'm trying to find 1/2 of 3/4. So I'm going to split this initially into 4 equal sections. I'm going to use a different color here for shading it in. So I'm going to represent 3/4 now. I got 3, 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 sections shaded in. And now if I were to find half of that, it's a little bit difficult because how do you split 3 in half, right? It's an odd number, 3, right? So that is a little bit challenging. There is a way to do it, but it doesn't. So half of 3, I know, is 1/2, but that gets pretty confusing if I try to write my denominator as a fraction, or my numerator as a fraction, rather. Okay. So one thing you can do is you can write 3/4 as an equivalent fraction. You can multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2, and you could write it as 6/8, because now the numerator 6 can be split in half. And basically all that looks like visually is if I take so right now I've got 3 out of 4 sections shaded in. So if I take a horizontal line across the middle, I have not changed the quantity. Okay, it's still the exact same quantity, but it's split into more equal parts, into smaller parts. Okay, instead of splitting it into 4ths, it's split into 8ths now. Instead of 3 parts shaded, now it's 6 parts shaded. All right, and the way this is helpful is I'm trying to find 1/2 of what's shaded. All right, 1/2 of 3/4. Now I'm trying to find 1/2 of 6/8. but we know that 3/4 and 6/8 are equal. So it'll give us the right answer. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts shaded in. 1/2 of that would be, I could take these three, and that would represent 1/2 of 3/4. And I'm going to shade that in with green now. That's a mixture of green and blue. And that represents my solution to 1/2 of 3/4. And so it's now split into 8 equal parts. I've shaded in 3 of them, so my answer must be 3/8. All right, so the solution to 3/4 of 1/2 and 1/2 of 3/4 is 3/8. And I've just shown that. All right. So the main idea here, the main concept is when you're multiplying two different fractions, you can switch the order around if it helps you to understand the concept better. If it makes it easier for you, you can do that. So try it out. If you run into a fraction problem, see how it works for you. And hopefully this is helpful, and we'll see you next time.